Doom Eternal is a fantastic game. You don't need me to be telling you that, especially if you played it yourself, then you would know. This is one of those rare games where nothing you do takes you out of that combat. A pure adrenaline rush from start to finish. It's all about go, go, go. Everything has a purpose, and it fits the whole theme of that bloodiness, non-stop action. Chainsaw kills replenish your ammunition, glory kills replenish your health, flame belch replenishes your armor, demons have counters, counters kill demons easy, some weapons work better on certain demons, so on and so forth. And since I beat the story about 45 times, I decided to do it one more time, but with a crucial element missing. The chainsaw. I was not allowed to touch the chainsaw from start to finish. I know what you're thinking. What about the boss fights? What about the Icon of Sin? What about the Conmaker, the Champion, the Doomhunter? What was the hardest parts? When did you run out of ammunition? Well, just stop right there, take a deep breath. We're gonna go over through all of that. Some methods I used, the moments where I did run out of ammunition, what did I do? How did the boss fights pan out? We're gonna go over every single thing. And just to make this clear, this is a brand new save, so I started from the ground up. I didn't have dash in the beginning, I didn't have the majority of my arsenal, and I'm removing the element that allows me to replenish my ammunition. Which, let me just say, you get so much more appreciation, not just for the chainsaw, but how this game works cohesively. But anyways, let's start this off with Hell on Earth. So just so you guys know, the game does not allow you to pass the section where the chainsaw is at. If you don't pick it up, it won't let you progress, so you have to pick it up. Which in a weird way kind of sucks. I wish you were able to bypass it, and then later on as you're playing through the story, you're like, damn. Oh damn, this guy looks like the real deal.
You were nothing but a usurper.
A usurper? What? Wait a minute. I fucking forgot the chainsaw. Then you gotta go back and restart the whole thing. I think that would have been pretty cool. Would have also made it less tempting to use it. But Hell on Earth is pretty straightforward. In this level, you only really come across 4 real demon types that are considered a threat. 5 if you want to consider the possessed. But you have imps, soldiers, arachnotrons, and is it pronounced cacodemons or cacodemons? The big ass red ball with teeth. We'll just call it that. This is also a mission that you can just breeze through with just the sticky bombs, which is pretty much what I did. I utilized the sticky bombs to the max. You try to get as many soldiers, as many imps together as possible. That way you're getting the most bang for your buck. I was doing this, and the mission's actually a breeze. Every stage has more than enough ammunition for you to pick up. And at the time where I actually did run out of shotgun ammo, which was the first time you run into Arachnotron, the next area, you're given another gun, which is the heavy cannon, and then there's also more shotgun shells for you to pick up right next to the auto station. So nobody's surprised, the first mission is actually pretty generous with your ammunition. You can end pretty much every fight with the amount of ammunition you started it with, or if not, end it with a little bit more. Grenades are awarded to you as soon as you come across the big ass red ball with teeth. For the first time, saving you a sticky bomb, you can just fire a grenade into its mouth, and I really didn't run into any trouble until the last stretch of this mission. Now it's not hard per se, there's just more demons and ammunition that you have. So what I decided to do was right here, because there's about 9 soldiers and imps down below you, I stood on this building and just fired all my sticky bombs and micro missiles to take out all of these demons. There was still ammunition remaining in my arena, so I decided once I ran dry to go back, pick up those remaining drops, head down to the lower level in the parking garage, pick up those shotgun shells, and then I was ready to proceed and take care of the Arachnotron and remaining imps, which I did relatively quickly. So after completing Hell on Earth, you're introduced to Sentinel Crystals for the first time, which, surprise, surprise, I decided to invest in more ammunition. This bumped up my ammo reserves from 60 heavy cannon rounds up to 90, and from 16 shotgun shells up to 18. This is gonna fucking suck. From there, I was sent to Exultia. Now in this mission, we have the same exact demon roster as we do in Hell on Earth, with the exception of 2 new additions, the Hell Knight and the Revenant. But to counter that, this is also the mission where runes are introduced, dash, blood punch, and the plasma rifle. Anyways, I hopped into this mission with the same exact tactics in mind. Grenades and sticky bombs are to be utilized on groups of demons, while sticky bombs are also meant to prioritize certain targets, like Hell Knights or the turn off of Arachnotron's back. Now this mission was smooth sailing until after I acquired the plasma rifle. There's an arena you get thrown into where you gotta deal with 3 Arachnotrons, 2 Hell Knights, at least 1 Cacodemon, imps, gargoyles, soldiers, and a Revenant. Now there are ammunition pickups in this arena, but when it was all said and done, after picking up all that extra ammunition on the floor, I only had 3 shotgun shells remaining, 14 shots for my plasma rifle, and my heavy cannon was still maxed out, but I don't really use it. I feel like with demons, it's either too much or not enough. So I had at least a solid 2 minutes of gameplay of nothing but the heavy cannon and utilizing the grenades points to the maximum effect that I can, because that was basically all I had. But I did eventually get all of my ammunition back, and the way I did that was right after blowing a hole in a Titan's chest, there's a Sentinel Crystal you can pick up. I ended up applying that again to my ammunition reserves. This not only bumped up how much I can have, but it gives you an automatic max ammo, which is perfect because the game's practically over. They just set me up for that last fight, which I ended very quickly. Now I'm going to skip the cultist base mission as it was pretty straightforward and objectively easier, since in that mission, once you get the rocket launcher, the ammunition for it is pretty abundant. So we're going to skip that and actually go straight to the first boss fight, or alleged boss fight, the Doomhunter. Now normally the way I fight these guys is all plasma rifle. Try to make every shot count on their aircraft, hit them with the heat wave, rinse and repeat that. Whenever I run low on ammunition, just run around and chainsaw any demon I can. Obviously I can't chainsaw demons, so my main problem in this fight was trying to not diminish all of my plasma rifle shots, as I was taking into account I gotta fight 2 more of these things right after this. So in truth, the first fight I was basically just throwing everything I could, trying to balance my ammunition. Honestly, I was struggling. I had no clue what I was gonna do, how I was gonna balance this out, how much ammunition I was going to be wasting. It was a mess. Thankfully, I developed a good method of dealing with these 2 other guys at the same time. So the method I use in layman's terms is the heat wave mod is one main attack, while the blood punch was the other main strike against the Doomhunter's craft. I didn't focus so much on whether if I was missing a lot of shots like I did with the first Doomhunter. It was all about getting the plasma rifle ready for that concussive blast, and then following that with a blood punch. So the way I did it was I would use a plasma rifle, hit the hunter with a blast, blood punch him, and then glory kill some fodder demons for another blood punch, hit him with a couple plasma rifle shots, heat wave, blood punch, rinse and repeat. Throw in some occasional grenades, rockets, and micro missiles, and the fight is a done deal. Not to mention this entire arena has ammunition for almost all your weapons, so it wasn't as hard as you'd initially think. Especially since once that craft is gone, you can chip away at his health pretty easily. And I'm sure just watching the gameplay, you can see the amount of damage a blood punch carries towards their craft and them. So the Doomhunters were nowhere near as hard as I thought they were going to be. Now the next level that we're coming across is the Super Gore's Nest. This was the second hardest mission for me, right behind Terrace Nabad. This was the mission that had me sweating for the rest of the game. There was moments where I was constantly running out of ammunition. I was going from ammo drop to ammo drop. There was a couple fights where I just completely said, fuck it, I'm skipping this. I don't have the ammo to deal with this right now. I just couldn't afford to deal with them. Obviously you can't skip every single fight, but there are some moments where you can just bypass areas. You don't have to even worry about the demons chasing after you, which I ended up doing right here. I took out the buff totem, meat hook the cacodemon, and completely booked it. But what ended up saving me in this mission was not only relying more heavily on the grenades and blood punch, but I went into this mission with an ace up my sleeve. I went into this mission with a few specific Praetor suit perks enabled, these ones being explosive piñatas and regenerating barrels. This basically allowed me to blow up red barrels in the environments that I was in and get some amount of ammunition back. It was nowhere near a lot, but it was better than nothing. And obviously these barrels don't respawn infinitely, but sitting around and having the same barrel blow up a few times was better than absolutely nothing. This actually saved me by helping me get ready for a few key fights, but the most prominent of which is right after collecting that yellow key. There's a couple barrels that you come across, and I just sat there, exploded them, collected a little extra ammunition, and that helped, because in the next area you have to deal with a Macubus, I think like 2 or 3 Arachnotrons, a Revenant or 2, a few Carcass Demons, a few Cacodemons, and all ammunition helps out tremendously. Also, a few things to keep in mind. My dumbass messed up completely.
Uh-oh, retard alert!
If you decide to do this run, prioritize upgrades to your grenades rather than your movement. I did the other way around, because eventually when you start up Doom Eternal, or the way you're supposed to be playing Doom Eternal, the weapons are the main attraction, and then things like the blood punch and grenades are kind of just supplements to the main attraction. But when you're playing without the chainsaw and you can't utilize the weapons as much, eventually the guns become support roles, and your main focus now, your main methods of attack are your grenades and your blood punch, which is going to become much more prominent when we move into Taurus Nabad. But right now in Super Gore's Nest, it was kind of tough. It was some moments where all I really was able to use was grenades and the blood punch, because you have to take into consideration what the next fight has in store for you. Now this was also the mission where I used the last Sentinel Crystal to bump up my ammunition capacity. Again, doing that in the middle of the level gives you a max ammo for everything you have, so that helped out tremendously. I also want to point out that throughout this run I had Empowered Demons active. This was the first mission where I ran across one. I ended up getting a Macubus. Empowered Demons are a blessing and a curse because they have double the health, so you're going to be expending a little bit more ammunition on them, but you get more back in returns as far as your ammunition goes, and that helped out tremendously. But again, if my dumbass invested in grenades, this mission would have been a lot easier. But moving over into Sentinel Prime, the champion or the gladiator fight. Much like the other parts of the game, the first half of this was all about getting a feel of the damage each weapon did, how I can utilize my shots to the maximum potential that they had. I love tapped the door accidentally with the ballista shot, which was a great start to the fight. Basically what I did throughout this fight was, first off, I realized you can't utilize the blood punch in the first stage where he has his magic door. That doesn't work. I also immediately acknowledged that there's actually ammo pickups around the edges of this fight. So what I tried to do was stay in the center. I didn't want to accidentally pick up any of these ammunition drops. Each one of these drops caps out at a certain amount of ammo, and I didn't want to pick up these drops before I hit that max. So in other words, what I mean is I didn't want to pick up any plasma rounds before wasting at least 30 of those shots, because each one of these plasma pickups give you a maximum of 30 shots. So I want to get as much back from these returns. But basically what I did for the first round was I just chipped at him with the plasma rifle, hit him with the heat wave, which occasionally would put him in a glory state, melee him, run around, pick up some plasma shots, rinse and repeat. Once you kill his magic door, the game gives you a max ammo. And considering this last round is the end of the mission, I was basically able to go to town on this guy. But that first stage was definitely the hardest. I really didn't know how I was going to approach it, especially when that blood punch didn't work. I was basically like, oh sh. Anyways, moving over to Taras Nabad, the hardest mission for me without a doubt, and just looking at the demon roster, you can basically see why. Starting the mission, you got to deal with a Marauder, a Cacodemon. Right after that, you got to take out a Mancubus. Right after that, you got to deal with an Arc Vial and anything else that he spawns in. And this fight was very stressful because instinctively, you want to throw everything you can at the Arc Vial. You want to kill him quicker than he can spawn anything in. And that can be a catch-22 because you can find yourself throwing more ammunition at the Arc Vial that'll be equivalent as throwing that extra ammunition at all the spawns he's creating. But naturally, I prioritized him, took him out, went back to focusing more on grenades and blood punches, and this fight kind of left me unconfident with my ammunition reserves. I actually, in the next area, completely bypassed that Pinky and that Prowler, just let them live, and went to go activate that cutscene. Now, like I was saying, running out of ammunition was fairly abundant in this mission, more so than any other mission, but again, just relying on blood punches, grenades, and trying to take advantage of explosive barrels dropping ammunition wherever I could. Even then, there's points where I just couldn't handle it. There's a moment in the level where I just completely bypassed an entire area. They did give me an empowered Pinky to deal with, which was an opportunity I completely could not pass up since I was low on almost everything. And the way I ended up taking care of them was basically with the ice bomb and grenades. After killing the empowered Pinky and getting my ammunition, I basically took off. I skipped the pain elemental and the remaining imps in this area, which in Taras Nabad, there's actually a good amount of places you can just keep moving. You don't have to fight every single demon. But I do want to point out one specific fight, and that is right after picking up the Crucible handle, you got to deal with a Cyber Mancubus, a Prowler, a Cacodemon, a Marauder, and a Whiplash. Now, all those demons ran me dry. I was trying to kill all of them and leave the Marauder for last, which basically just left me with grenades and the chain guns to try and kill the Marauder. Now, I know some people use grenades on the Marauder. I never really do. I normally just stick to the Super Shotgun and the Ballista, and that's it. So just the grenades by itself was kind of out of my element, and then just praying to get the right amount of time in that window where you have to hit him with the chain gun. It took a little bit of getting down pat. It took me probably about a solid 3 to 5 minutes to just kill this Marauder with the chain gun, which I eventually did. My hands down, Taras Nabad was the hardest mission, which you would think it would have been Necrovol, Urdak, which by the way, Urdak by far, easiest mission, easier than hell on earth. And the reason why that is because you have Maker drones, which are basically floating ammo depots. All you have to do is hit them in the head with a ballista shot or a precision shot, and you get a huge chunk of your ammunition back. And because of this, the fight with the Con Maker is relatively unchanged with or without the chainsaw. It's not like you can use it during the fight anyways. The final sin also was not that hard because in big arenas where you have stuff like Tyrants, Umractontrons, Mancubuses, a bunch of little imps, and soldiers in the arenas like that, you normally are given another BFG shot. So depending on where your ammo reserves are, you can have anywhere from 1 to 3 bullets for your BFG. Just shoot that off. It'll kill all the the smaller fodder while severely injuring the larger demons, which makes these arenas a breeze. Ammo drops in this level are balanced pretty good, actually. I think there's only once or twice where I was like, damn, I'm out of ammo, but if I go the level right above me, at least 2 to 3 of my guns would be somewhat refilled. And the other day I posted a video where you're capable of killing the icon of sin with just the crucible. So in other words, you can kill it without using any guns, and I did that during this playthrough. It's not easy, you're not meant to be able to do it, but it is possible. There you guys have it. That is how I completed the entire Doom Eternal campaign without using the chainsaw once. Now if you're paying attention, I skipped Necrovol, I skipped Mars Core, and I skipped the Arc Complex, mainly because there was no real problems in those levels. There was nothing significant where I had to point out. My main obstacles came from Terrace Nabad and Super Gore's Nest. There was never a moment throughout those missions where I had to get super creative with killing anything, or I had to do anything that I didn't do in the other missions that I mentioned. But that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys found it interesting or enjoyed it at all, feel free to drop a like, as well as maybe consider subscribing for some Doom Eternal and Dying Light content. Feel free to click on the videos that are popping up on your screen right now if you guys can't get enough of Doom or Dying Light. But that's it for me today. I'm out. You guys stay safe out there.